first round, maybe it'll get taken in the second round here. So we can go ahead and we can get started here.
All right, 2 rounds. How do you want to? So how do you want to do it today? Do you want to do just alternating, or with 2 rounds, do you take AFC, I take NFC, things like that, or I think we could just alternate, honestly.
Yeah. I think just alternating between picks is probably the best.
All right, all right, all right. I think I went
Oh
first last time.
gosh, golly gee. Yeah, I wonder who I'm taking here. Uh, Yeah, Cam Ward, stop it. For those who do not aren't following the whole Cam Ward saga very closely, he was on live stream last night. Uh, so Tuesday night, so
Electric,
last night in terms
electric.
of time we're recording this, and people were asking like, "Oh, who's your top four running backs?" And he was like, "Well, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Derrick Henry, and like Christian McCaffrey." And then he was like, "Yeah, AJ Brown is good, but he's no Calvin Ridley." He had Traylon Burks in his top four wide receivers, which is just like awful. Traylon Burks is like a
But the way he
generational
teed
draft
that up
bust
was
at this point.
amazing. He goes, yeah, you know Calvin Ridley's in the top 4 of receivers. And then he's like, Jamar, Justin Jefferson, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I got my fourth, Traylon Burks. And he knows what he's doing. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, he knows he's getting drafted. It's great. It's great.
There was another one where it was like, they asked him to name his top 5 coaches. I know we're going long on this, but like he went
That's
Callahan,
fine.
Stefanski, Dayball. He skipped the Patriots and Vrabel for specific reasons, and the Jaguars, and then went into Pete Carroll and Aaron Glenn with the Jets. So I thought that was hilarious. So any team with a
Yeah.
possible need at the top of the draft at quarterback, he named as his top coaches. But yeah, uh, this one's easy. I think
Kellen
Travis
Moore.
Hunter. I think Travis Hunter continues to be the lean here. You know, again, I don't think you can go wrong with him or Carter. I think those are the two best players in the draft, with Mason Graham just behind them on my board. But Travis is a dynamic weapon that I likely don't believe they're going to play at corner. They're going to play at receiver. They need a weapon. You pair him with Judy and whatever quarterback you can get at 33, or move into the first round. But Travis seems like the normal pick. And it makes me believe, it truly makes me believe, that if they're pivoting from Carter to Travis, this is a team that if we get into like 16, I want to see them go up and get Shador if he's there. If you're taking Travis,
Hey,
there's a reason you're taking him over Carter, and I want to see it.
hey, maybe we can see if we can get that to happen today. We'll see. A little bit more ammo to play around with today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I know where I'm going with this pick, but let's set the precedent before we get to the fourth pick, because I think starting there is where it could maybe get a little funky. We want
Mm-hmm.
to do what we would do or predictive mock here.
I think like I'm gonna, uh, like I always whenever I
Kind of
do
should
mocks,
both.
I kind of I trickle back and forth. I'll be honest.
Okay. Okay. The reason I ask is because of the tackles, and if you guys are watching just the mock video, there's a tackle here that might go a little bit higher than you're expecting. But for me, again, this one's a little bit easy for the Giants. It's Abdul Carter. Sure, you have Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, but those guys don't prevent you from taking Abdul Carter, and you can even
Yep.
move off of Thibodeau at this point. So
Yeah, it seems like they're doing a last second full court heave. I think it's John Mara going, finally setting himself in the room, saying like I need to see Shador. So there's a I don't know if it's happened. It's probably happened by the now of the YouTube video releasing, but they're gonna work out Shador. There's a chance he goes at 3. I doubt it's gonna happen. I think they need to take the best player available, and Abdul Carter is absolutely that. Then you get into the Patriots. I think the Patriots are interesting, because this is where the draft really starts. Um, this kind of sets what you just asked, that question of like, is this a predictive or what I would do? I think I'm gonna go with what I would do, and that's take Mason Graham. I know they just signed Milton Williams. I know that They have Christian Barmore. It's interesting with the Barmore and his blood clots. I don't if you feel patient enough with Barmore that you can wait on him and believe he's going to bounce back, then it's probably Campbell. Because Tetaroa does not seem like he's in position to be drafted here. But if you believe there's any hesitancy and you want to get a tone setter pick, because you got to keep in mind this is Mike Vrabel's first Patriots pick. You want to get a tone setter, and I think Mason Graham is absolutely that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, that's who I would have picked at 5. That's why you saw a little bit of that reaction from me when you made that pick. It's a little bit more difficult. From if it was a strictly what I would do mock draft, it would be Aston GT here without a second question. But it's not. It's a combination of both. I'm gonna go Tyler Warren. Actually, no. Pause. Conversation that we had last night, or a couple nights ago. Do they trust Walker a little? Do they? Because if they don't trust Walker a little, they don't have tackles that they like here. And I'm taking my top tackle. That's Will Campbell, regardless of his arm length and whatnot. The half inch isn't going to make a difference. Sure, it could play a little bit of an impact, but even if you don't trust the arm length measurement he had at his pro day, for me, I still think, and I've said it the entire time, he is a tackle. He can do it. A half inch is not going to prevent him from being a great tackle to a bad tackle. It's Will Campbell. And if you don't trust Walker a little, this just makes a whole lot of sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, before doing this exercise, you go through some of now that free agency has kind of simmered over, you kind of know what rosters look like going into the draft, and that was a team that catches my eye with their tackle situation. That this is a new regime. Walker Little is nobody's safe there. They took Anton Harrison a few years ago. You're at that point where it's kind of decision time with him. It's either he's going to make the year 3 leap or not. You can't really pencil him in for starter, but no, I think it'd be fascinating if they took Campbell, because he's probably outside of, I would have Genty and T-Mac over him, but Will Campbell's my 6th overall player, so if you want a lineman, I can't judge you on that pick. The Raiders, this is the worst kept secret at this point, I think. I think it's Genty, because I think in this draft specifically, I think there's 3 dynamic playmakers on offense, and even with T-Mac at 5, I don't believe he's one of those dynamic playmakers. I think it's Hunter, who's already been taken. I think it's Loveland, not a position of need, and I think it's Genty. And you trade for Geno, you get the contract, you take on an older coach, much older coach in Pete Carroll. You want to go this route. You want to be good. And I think Genty's one of those running backs that changes your run game. I think Bijan had that. I think Saquon has that. No matter if you believe the offensive line isn't that great, but even their offensive line, like their run blocking stuff was pretty good. It's just Zam White and Sincere McCormick were the guys running the ball for them. So you drop Genty in here, I think he's a special player.
Absolutely. And who's one of the first players that you think of when you think of Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch. He loves his running backs. Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, one of the worst kept secrets. And to be frank,
Ben, here's another little tidbit. They made one move at running back this year. What's the biggest knock on Genty? His long speed. They signed Raheem Mostert.
There you go. Like you said, one of the worst kept secrets in all of the draft. And maybe it's just a very well placed smokescreen, but I doubt it at this point. 8 is well for you, but we'll see what happens at 8 and where we go with 8. Gosh, I don't think it's a quarterback here. I really don't for the Jets.
No.
For me at this point, it is between Membu or Tyler Warren. I think I'm leaning Tyler Warren here. In that it's kind of the pick I'm going. need. They have a position of need at tight end. Tyler Warren is just that guy. I think they can find a tackle a little bit later, in the second round, and we'll get to it. Tyler Warren.
I think this is where I mix in like reality with what I would do, and like this pick is gonna be Jalen Walker. I think at this point we all have to kind of accept it with reporting and seeing so many, like when you see one reporter say it, okay. When you see like 5 of them say, yeah, Jalen Walker's floor is the Panthers this draft, and I get it. Like maybe I've not come around to him. I have him as my 19th overall player. I haven't come around to the top 10 stuff, but I get it. You want a freaky run and hit athlete comparative to Frankie Louvu. I wouldn't take Frankie Louvu in the top 10. That's another part of why I'm doing this. But he's much more, versatile. It's just the tweener player gives me, hesitancy because I feel like we all have that tweener player that we all got burned on back in the day, and it just didn't work out. And Walker feels like the next guy, but from what I've read, tremendous leader, tremendous Energizer Bunny that the Panthers would want in their defense. So I completely get it.
Yeah, again, an awful kept secret here. At 9, guys, I'm really debating about how much I want to make Matt kind of squeam a little here, because it is going to be. I'm taking a quarterback here. Mm-hmm. It is between Shedeur and Jackson Dart, right? And Jackson Dart has been a name that has been picking up steam, especially to the Saints, as of recent, 2-ish weeks. Matt would absolutely hate it. I think that's like the only pick in the entire draft that the Saints could make them. Matt would be like, I'm out. Go away. I'm not watching this team for a year. But I do have Shedeur as ranked in front of him. I have a quarterback in front of Shedeur, but that won't happen. But because I do have Shedeur in front of Jackson Dart, I will go Shedeur here. But I could have been mean and done Jackson Dart, and I think I could realistically see that happening as well.
Yeah, I've told you in private. There's only one pick that, especially with this board, I love T-Mac, I love Nolan, Jahad Campbell, Membu. If you want to do trench play, I completely get it, and even Shedeur. Jackson Dart is the one player that if he's picked at 9, I will be inconsolable.
Second here, guys.
I'll be done for. But we get to 10 with the Bears.
Hold on. Ryan, you're live here. You're here. I'll let you know.
Live on the Pigskin Project? No way.
So combination of what we would do, not to hijack your pick, but at this position at 10, what are you thinking with the Bears, Ryan?
All right, so I'm trying to watch the stream right now. Okay, wait, hold on. Okay, wait. I can look and see the board, kind of.
Podcasting.
Can you tell me who was picks 1 through 7? Can you do that for me?
I can give you 1 through 9 because we are on the Bears pick right now.
I can see it's Jalen Walker and Shedeur Sanders. So sorry, Matt, but fun ride. Anyways, yeah, I need 1 through 7. I just can't see that.
1 through 7: Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Will Campbell, Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren.
Well, that's not fun. That's like all my guys. Okay. Well,
I know where I would go, and Ryan would hate it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give me Membu. Give me Membu at 10. That's an easy pick. Give me my left tackle. We're going to compete with Braxton Jones in year 1 and likely let go of Braxton Jones in the future. And, surprise, guest pick. Nobody was expecting this.
Surprise. No one was expecting that. Thank you, Ryan.
Give me a call when the Bears are up in the second round. I got you.
All right. I'll see you, buddy.
Bear down.
All right, Matt. So at pick 10, not to hijack that pick. For those who are recent watchers, that is Ryan, that third name that you guys might have heard at the top of the podcast. That's our other co-host there. Um, who would have been your pick at 10?
Probably Nolan or Loveland. I think
Ooh.
they're at a point that I think Membu is my 15th overall player. I think you're reaching a little bit, but again, it's tackle, and I think like specifically looking at the tackles, I think Simmons, Connerly, and then like I think Banks is a guard. I think Zabel's a guard. I think Donovan Jackson's kind of a swing, kind of more leaning guard. So if you want to get a tackle, I completely understand getting him at 10. You need to get him early, but I think the Bears are in a spot where they could really push the envelope, and I think Nolan or Loveland down here really pushes that envelope in a big way. And I think I'm gonna take the Niners now because I think we did this last week. Walter Nolan, man.
Yes.
Walter Nolan's gonna go here. I think this is the perfect spot for him, penetrating 3 tech. You put him in there with Robert Saleh and just figure it out. You'll get more depth down the line. Like the Niners, surprisingly this year, I'm not gonna trade anybody, but you go to the Niners, the capital that they have in draft ammunition this year, 4 difference-making picks, the top 3 rounds. They could really build out this defensive line immediately, and getting a true blue chipper in Nolan at 11, I think is a really good, maybe not blue chipper, but I think he's well worth a top 11 pick.
No, absolutely. I would be shocked if they don't go here, especially with their, I guess, lack thereof depth or even starters at that position along pretty much the whole defensive line. I don't think this is a pick that we have made at all on this podcast because he has not been here at this point.
Yeah, I think this is easy.
It's Tedero McMillan.
Yep.
And if Jerry Jones isn't sprinting that card in, even at his old age, he's quite frankly just wrong. And I hate to say it because again, there are a lot of very smart people out there, but if they do not take Tedero McMillan at 12 and he is there, you're wrong. Again, I know it's an objective thing, but you're just wrong. So
yeah. No, I completely agree because again, his skill set with CeeDee Lamb matches perfectly, man. CeeDee is a pretty, intermediate to middle of the field slot receiver at this point in his career, and that's where he makes his money, being a yak receiver. You put Ted on the outside and win against some of those big physical corners. I think he's tremendous at that. We get to 13 again. Like this is another easy one. I did last week, but Simmons is too good here. I just mentioned him in the My Guys. He's my 8th overall player. He's one of the best tackles. I think he has the potential to be the best tackle. Limited play time. The injury stuff is a problem, but they signed Teron Armstead, so I don't think they have an issue with taking on injury-riddled left tackles. But I think this is a must.
Yes,
Especially looking at the board. I think after, like I said, after you get past Simmons, man, there's going to be a guy I push up the board that is not high on my big board just because tackles are going to go.
And speaking of that, it seems like Ursary has been that guy as of recently that's been catching that
was
steam.
The name I was alluding to. Like this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Another guy that we had talked about on the My Guys here, and we had talked about this being the floor spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a position of need. Colston Loveland. Again, they have not been able to figure out this tight end position for what seems to be like years now at this point. And me and you both have Colston Loveland as a close to top 10-ish player in this class.
Yep, I think it's pretty crazy looking at this team, and like I think this team losing Will Fries and Ryan Kelly, they need some interior support. So I would have, like, if you take Zabel here, it's a little early, but it would make a ton of sense. But like you go to that tight end room, man. Woof. There's a reason that tight end is a #1 need for this team because it is slim pickings, and I think you really they need to win, right? I think Chris Ballard and Steichen are really on the block here. They got to win games, and so how do you win games? You make sure your quarterback's good, so you keep giving them weapons to throw to. So Loveland makes a ton of sense. Here, this one I don't think we've done too many times, but instead of really pushing the envelope with the edge or interior guys, I'm going to take Will Johnson. I think you put Will Johnson on the outside, the opposite side of A.J. Terrell. I think it gives you two really just lengthy and intelligent man cover corners for them right off the bat, and it's an easy pick here.
Yeah, absolutely. You keep stealing these guys one pick away from the pick that I would have wanted to make them at. Yeah, no, you get into they really need edge or whatnot, but is Will Johnson a better player in terms of tier wise on your board than whatever edge you have at this place?
I have him and Stewart are pretty much equal.
Yeah. So and so many people are out on Stewart because of the production and lack thereof. Yep. So yeah. That being said, that is who I'm going to be going with this Cardinals pick is Shamar Stewart, a guy that me and you both absolutely love. Again, they need help on that defensive line. And I think Gannon is one of those guys that can get the most out of his defensive line. We saw it with the Eagles. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Cincinnati, you're bummed. You're just bummed. This one becomes interesting. I think they need an edge rusher. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, this team cannot produce in rushing the passer, and there's a world where that guy's not on the football team in training camp. So maybe he's moved during the draft. Maybe, who knows? But I think this is a team that needs to get an edge rusher. So, I mean, you just take the next best edge rusher. I have Mike Green at 16th overall player, Stewart at 10. So a little bit of a drop off, but still a player worth the pick at 17.
Yes, an elite pass rusher at that. Yep. If his background checks out.
Yep.
So absolutely love it. If this is the way that the board have fallen, and we will see how it is next week. There's a team at 32 that would be calling. But that's besides the point. We'll save that for next week to see if that is what happens. For me, it is between two players. It is between a Gray Zabel and a Donovan Ezeraku.
Okay.
Because it is a mix of what I would do thrown in there, I am going to go Gray Zabel here. It did hurt me to pass up on Donovan Ezeraku a little bit, but I think there is such a need at the interior for this team that Gray Zabel should be going here. And it's just a matter of if Snyder is willing to say it's not a valuable position, but we should still take it.
Yeah, this makes it fascinating with Seattle because I'll be honest, I disagree with you. I've done this scenario before, and with the guys on the board, I lean Starks because I think with like bringing up Seattle here as I did with the Niners, you look at all 50, 52, 82, and 92, I think there's a world where they have the ammunition to find interior play along the lines that you're not going to get a player as good as Starks later in this draft. So I kind of lean Starks, and you kind of put him in nickel or you put him in overhang safety. I think likely overhang safety because Devon Witherspoon is a fantastic nickel. But no, I would get it with Zabel. I think Zabel is a phenomenal player, and I have him ranked at 18th, and he goes 18th. So sometimes you love it when a plan goes together. But the Bucks, like it's Jahad Campbell, right? I think there's an interest. There's an intrigue in taking Starks here for me because I think he's just undervalued. But you have to take Campbell. I even have Campbell ranked higher than Starks. So I know it's boring. I know I hate making the just blanket picks because we just know Jahad Campbell's going to be here and he's not going to be taken by the Bucks. But it makes a ton of sense. Would love to see it happen.
Yes, well, and that's where I think his floor is, and that's kind of the player that I alluded to at 32. I don't think if he makes it to 19, he will be getting past that pick.
All right, Ben. I want to see if you make the pick because I'm not.
I'm wondering where your head is at here, because my head is at wide receiver.
Mm.
It's a player that me and you have heavily talked about. I don't quite understand why people have him falling out of the first round. He's clearly wide receiver 2, and the reason I say that is because of Travis Hunter and whatnot. But in terms of pure wide receivers, he's clearly, for me, wide receiver 2 at this position, and I don't get why he's falling down the board, and I think he is a perfect complement to what they already have there in Cortland Sutton.
I agree with you. I thought you were going to go a different way on the offensive side of the ball, I'll be honest. But yeah. No, I think it makes a ton of sense. The Steelers. So I'm under the impression Aaron Rodgers is going to be signed, but because I took a peek today, they have 6 projected compensatory picks. So if they wait a certain, I think it's middle of May, maybe it's post June 1st, I can't remember, but if they wait a certain amount of time to sign Aaron Rodgers, they will still have 6 compensatory picks up next year, or for the possibility. I don't know if you can get up to 6. Maybe you max out at 4. But they have the opportunity to get those. If they sign Rodgers, they're going to lose one of those. So under this impression, I think they have Rodgers. I think that's the most important piece of this. Again, leaning to the board. Am I going in? Do I want to go in the secondary with probably Starks here? Just looking at the board, maybe Revel. I think we've done that. Or do I want to go on the defensive line? And I think it's easily defensive line because I think there is a drop off after these 5. And you look at the Steelers, their next pick is 83rd. So I think you need to get an interior guy right away. I think there's going to be corners you can get later. So I go with my next best player.
Before you hit that select button, is there, and it could obviously be no, and I'd totally be fine with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a tackle here that you think would also be worth taking? Just out of curiosity.
Oh yeah, I think Connerly is definitely worth the price of admission. Personally, like those guys just don't stay. Those guys don't stay on the board. But I'm under the impression Rodgers is the quarterback. He's not throwing out a rookie left tackle. He's not throwing out a. If you want to go Connerly, I get it because you're kind of sticking him behind Broderick Jones. But I think I'm under the impression this team's really going to go for it. And so if you get Harmon in there, you move Keanu Benton over to nose. You already have Cam Hayward, Highsmith, and TJ Watt. So just add more pass rush juice.
Yes.
But no, we've had talks about that tackle. I think it makes a ton of sense if you want to do an Olu Fashiono with a Rodgers team last year where you just sit him and he's a year 2 project.
Yeah. The best player on the board, I cannot even take because they already have an elite safety. I mean, unless you want to be like, we're just going to make the best safety pairing you've ever seen in your entire gosh darn life. But I don't think that's the case. It's a pick I've made. They lost Poona Ford, linking the Michigan guys to Jim Harbaugh. For me, it's Kenny Grant. There's a need, and you're just creating the link.
Yep. I think these IDL guys can come off the board in a hurry just because we talked about this on the defensive line. I think after Tyleik Williams in the top 4, I think it really runs dry, just like the tackles. That I think there's going to be teams, especially with the way the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Specifically that reason of like being trench play and trench oriented, teams are really going to follow suit. Then we get to the Packers. I believe this is corner all the way. I just want to rant for a minute. I don't get the Matthew Golden here. I don't think Matthew Golden does anything different than what Jaden Reed can provide. personally, maybe he provides outside value, but that's just my opinion. I don't get the Matthew Golden to this pick. I'm going to go with my top corner, Savone Revel. He's played limited snaps. He has the injury history. I get it, but the star possibility of him is so immense for me that I want to take him at 23. I don't think Jair is going to be on this team. I think this is just a matter of time with him. So taking Revel.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. No, at this point, again, the Eagles better be calling here and try to get up and take him, but we're not going to do that today. But the Vikings will be taking the player that I would want the Eagles to trade up for at this point. Just by far and away, there is a gap between the best player on the board and the next player after that. And that's Malachi Starks. Harrison Smith is getting old. He could retire anytime now. And again, Malachi Starks is just, again, by far such the best player on the board. You would be dumb to pass up on him.
Yep. Completely agree. Texans, I don't want to make this too long. You sprint in Josh Connerly here. I know they have interest in Kelvin Banks, and I think with their board it would probably be Banks, but I think Connerly is I think Connerly's much better, and I think he can play tackle where I don't think Banks can.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All right, this is where the obvious picks start becoming a little less obvious. Because not a tight end I really want to take here.
Yeah.
Do you think Calvin Banks can play tackle? If you think Calvin Banks can play tackle, then I think that's the spot for him. Gosh, yeah, I think that's the route I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Calvin Banks. I know they just paid their guy, but Harvestein's getting old, and I'll do it. And if he needs to kick in it and play guard for a little bit and develop at guard, you can do that too.
I hear you. I think this one is my top overall player ends up being an edge if I'm not missing anybody. I think this is James Pierce here. I don't know. The James Pierce draft range is so crazy because it's all about the behind the scenes stuff that you and I have no idea what's going on. I don't know if the top 30 visits have been immense for him. Usually top 30 visits are guys you're trying to figure out character, but there's been some recent talks where some teams don't do top 30 visits, like the Rams specifically, or some teams invite players they don't like for a reason to, get them in the building and see why they don't like him. But here, James Pierce is pretty easy. I still think he's a top 32 player. He's a top 20 player on my board. It's all about the behind the scenes stuff, and you figure it out.
Yeah. Yes, the pure talent there, he should not be here at 27. Yeah. And it's just, again, a matter of doing your correct diligence on him. The Ravens already have established culture, leaders within that locker room that can kind of prevent a little bit of that off the field stuff happening. I wonder who I'm picking here for the Lions. Donovan Ezraku. Again, I've said it. I think I've made this pick plenty of times at this point. They need help against Aiden. I'm much higher on Ezraku than pick 28. Easy for me.
Yeah, you put me in an awkward spot with the Commanders because, with how many draft picks they flooded last year and the free agents, I don't know what is classified as a need for them right now. So I want to just shift to premium positions. So I'm going to find the G and take Mykel Williams because he's the best player at a premium position on the board here for me. Again, don't love it, but then again, I can't pin down how they're going to attack because they trade for Tunsil. They have such limited draft capital looking at them. They go from 61 to the Houston pick in a swap and then 200 picks. So they really need to make this pick count, and I look at their needs, and I'm like, there's nothing that I'm like glaring need for me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Especially with the guys on the board there as well,
Mm-hmm.
because the best player on the board is Barron, and they are clearly not going to take Barron coming off of the year that Mikey Sanders still just had.
Yeah.
I think this is a pick that we've hinted at making, but I don't think we've ever actually made it. And if you guys listen back to the D tackle rankings that we had, there is a clear cutoff between where we have our top 5 defensive tackles and then everyone else. And I don't think you can get this type of player when you come around back to the second round, and that's Tyleik Williams. Again, they need to put someone that can handle the run exactly, that can really handle the run in the interior of that defense, and Tyleik Williams does that perfectly.
Yeah, some people are just going to be turned off by taking a nose tackle at 30, but like again, your point is excellent, man. I have him as my 34th player. The next interior defensive lineman I have on my board is Alfred Collins in the low 50s. So I truly believe there is a massive, massive drop off after Tyleik Williams. That if you don't get him at 30, I don't think Buffalo is going to get a true impact starter that they would want. I think they could, and like the safeties are interesting. If you like Eamon Warray, I get it, but then again, I'm definitely not going to be the person making that pick. Then we get into the Chiefs. The Chiefs are fascinating. I think this is Donovan Jackson because of the flexibility, the inside-outside versatility, and I think the worst-kept secret. I've probably said that a few times, but another worst-kept secret is this team wants to get more beef on the interior. They move on from Tooney. They re-up Trey Smith. The left side is very dormant. You just keep plugging guys into there. I think they're just trying to throw shots at this. They signed Jalen Moore from San Francisco. They now take Donovan Jackson. I'm missing someone. Who do they take? Kingsley Suamataia, not good enough last year. Maybe they kick him inside to guard. But this is just, again, this is a team going on a Super Bowl run. Just keep throwing stuff at the problem and see if it fixes.
Yeah.
What do you do with your Eagles?
With the way the board is at, honestly, the first phone call I'm making is the Bears.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, Ben Johnson, I'll move back to 39.
I'm not high enough on this player in the first round, but there's no shot Hampton's here. I believe that.
Yeah. I think the first thing I would do would call it Ben Johnson and say, hey, do you want Amari Hampton? This is, I think, the last spot that you can confidently secure him before teams do start trading up for him. I don't think he's here at 32. And that's why it's really difficult. That's just, again, the way that the board had fallen. And a lot of people look at this and say, there's no shot he's making it all the way to that pick. And now if Ryan was here, I'd say, hey, Ryan, do you want to trade up, from 39? Jeez. There's one player that stands out to me in terms of the Eagles board. That's Nick Scordon. And it just comes back to what Howie likes to do when it comes to building through the trenches. I think that's a selection I'm going to make.
I like it. All right. Beginning of round 2, we don't usually get to this point. So let's keep it going. Refresher, the Browns, of course, took Travis Hunter.
Oh, Ryan just texted me. He said, trade up.
I hate this. I hate this selection, but I think this is very obviously Dart if he makes it to 33. I would not make the pick, but then again, I am not in the position of Cleveland that they have to, make this decision. This is the card they're dealt. Their $50 million, whatever his cap hit is. He's not good enough. They've band-aided it with Flacco. They've traded for Pickett. You need to get a young star in there, and it's really, which one would you prefer? And I think I would prefer Milrow, but just the buzz, I can't deny the buzz of Dart going here. Really can't.
Yeah.
I don't love it, but I can't deny it. And now it's interesting with New York.
Yeah, because
Should
that's
I
who
just
I
open
would
that
have.
quarterback tab again?
I would have taken here. Because Milrow does need to go to a situation in which he's not playing right now, right? And they have Russ, they have Jameis. He does not have to play right away. But yet, Barron is still here. And Janae Barron should not be here. Janae Barron should not be on the board. It's going to be Janae Barron because of the value in which the players that are still here.
Yeah, I mean, even if he's a Texas guy, we do differ on the player. But I get it. I would probably take I would probably take Milrow there. I'll be honest with you. Even if I don't love taking a quarterback.
And I love Milrow.
Yeah. No, I think you're just weighing value. And then Tennessee is so easy. This team has the 35th pick, the first pick, of course Cam Ward, and then one pick until the 100s. This is a receiver for me. And you get your pick of the litter. Do you want Igbuka or do you want Golden? And it's just decisions. I'm going to go with my higher ranked player, and that's Igbuka. I think he just does he's just a professional player. And I think he does a lot of things well that are going to mesh with a rookie quarterback. Even if he's always a rookie, he finds zone spots really well. He gets to his spots urgently. Just phenomenal player.
Yes. Oh, for sure. I'm going to give Ryan about 30 seconds to come in here and make a case for the Bears to trade up. Because if he doesn't get in here in about 30 seconds, the pick will be Amari and Hampton. Just point blank period. I love Amari and Hampton here. I don't like what they have with there he is. Don't like what they have with Trevor or Travis Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, I'm the Jaguars on the board here. I want to take Hampton.
Well,
are the Bears trading up?
Yeah, I'm absolutely trading up. What am I?
Oh, well, that's all we needed to get was we're trading up. Right. So go ahead and you're moving what, 3 spots? I don't think it's gonna cost that much.
I mean, it would have to cost 148.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think Ben Johnson, if he's the one making those decisions there, yeah, go ahead and swap those picks.
Yeah.
Amar in hand.
Yeah, I mean, we differ on the player. It just is what it is. I'm probably, if you're watching this video, I'm probably the lowest you're going to find of this, of the draft cycle on Amari Hampton. But, no, it makes a ton of sense. He's not going to be here at 36. The way, with what you read, I feel like 20 is the spot he's going to go. But even then, him sliding 16 picks later is interesting. It's just, I wasn't going to be the one to pull the trigger. And and then we get to the Raiders. This might be golden. This might be pretty easy to just take BPA, and it's another impact position on the offensive end. Just continue to flood Geno Smith with opportunistic weapons. I look at the board. I'm going to go Booker. I think you can keep penciling. What are they doing with JPJ? Are they still playing JPJ at guard? It's interesting. This is where it gets fascinating in the second round. You have to make sacrifices like this.
JPJ's their center.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say that JPJ played guard last year for them.
No, because he fumbled up that snap on Christmas.
Okay. Why do you think he was drafted as a guard? No, yeah, I'm going to just take Booker, going BPA on my board. That's, the only guy above him is Caleb Johnson. And, of course, they're not going to take 2 running backs. No. So, yeah, I'm going to go Booker.
No.
But they were the corner. It's done.
That's done. Well, this is easy. I mean, if you tell Patriots fans that they leave the top 38 with Will Campbell and Matthew Golden, I think they're in the bars high fiving each other. You get your tackle of the future and the pass catcher that helps Drake May. Very, very easily, Matt Golden.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm catching up just now. I apologize.
Jacksonville. We went Campbell early.
Can I ask what was the trade that was made for my Bears for Hampton?
Just a 5th and a 7th swap.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Matt, would you mind if I make the Jags pick and I'll trade you my Saints pick so you can pick for the Saints?
I guess, yeah.
That way you get a chance to pick for your team. It only makes sense that way. All right. Who did we take again for them in the first round?
Campbell.
Will Campbell for the Jags?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. We didn't take Will Campbell for the Giants. Or for the Patriots. I thought for sure we did. All right, Will Campbell. This is tough.
Is there a position?
The position that like my head goes to would have been would have been wide receiver.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. The need. What does the edge group look like? I'm just curious because I don't know if they take if they do trade
guys
it.
Gone.
Yeah. This is difficult. Yeah, if you want to flip back to all positions here. Jeez, Jiminy
I'm gonna
Crickets.
pull up our lads right now. I'll get you a feel.
Please, yeah, get me a feel here, because where's my head is corner.
So yeah, they signed Demi Brown. They signed Hainsey and Patrick McCary to play center and right guard. A lot, little marginal moves. Defensive side of the ball, they signed Jordan Lewis, of course, to play nickel. Tyson Campbell's already there. They signed Eric Murray to play safety. Darnell Savage is there. So they lost Andre Cisco. So it's not really like I could see safety being in play. But again, I'm not being the one to pull the trigger on Eamon Worry.
I am the one that pulls the trigger on Eamon Worry.
Okay.
I forgot that he was still even available.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think safety is a good pick to make there.
Yeah.
So
I forgot he was even still on the board.
The Saints. So I took Shador, or you took Shador. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
This is a team that can take anything. Truly, defaulting to the board. Like I immediately look at interior defensive linemen because I just want more beef on this team. I think you could take Caleb Johnson here. Why not? I'm not going to. I'll pair it with no. They have outside corners. It's probably not the position of need. Let's just continue to beef up the receiver room. Let's take Jaden Higgins, another just explosive play threat. You give Shador a real fighting chance with Higgins, Shaheed, Olave. Just continue to put more bodies in that room, and then we get to the Bears.
All right, Ben, I'm gonna go a completely different route, despite the fact that I texted you what I thought my pick was gonna be. Because I remembered that there's a guy on the board that I'm obsessed with. Matt knows who I'm talking about. Ben, you should know who I'm talking about if you were reading the group chat. We're talking Watts, Xavier Watts. Now, my thought process with this is that I was going to go Amos. I'm in love with Amos. However, when Hampton falls into the second round, you have to use that second round pick on Hampton and trade up just a little bit. So I'm going more of a positional of need. Now I know people are going to be like, "Oh, but Stevenson's trash." Well, so is a safety that plays 5 games in like his third year of the league. He's never played a full season in his career, so I'm willing to move on from Brisker if that's what it takes. Maybe recoup some of those draft picks that we traded for Hampton, basically. But or you just keep him on the bench and kind of hope that he stays healthy, and you've got a beast there. But nonetheless, I'm taking Watts, and that's the move that I'm making.
I love it.
Peace out until next week.